All right, welcome back to the Launch Your Light podcast. This is our astro and energy talk with Ineza for the month of December. It is a new moon as we're recording this. Like, how perfect. So, welcome to the show. Welcome back, Ineza.
Thank you so much for having me, as always. Can you believe it's already December? Like we are at the last month of 2024. It's been like a long time and a short time at the same time because like time is very different. But yeah, the new let's dive a little bit into new moon.
Yeah.
Or maybe you want to look back at the last months like quickly. I think November was quite intense. I think so. What I felt was like the Pluto actually shifting. We talked about it like in the beginning of November, but then it actually shifting into Aquarius was this really tangible shift. And because of the energy of Aquarius is more Capricorn is grounded earth energy. Aquarius is electric air and multidimensional. So we are, I think, the intensity comes from us adjusting to the new frequency. It is more liberating, it's more hope, it's more all of these things, but it's also it can be disruptive and it can be kind of electric and harder to ground. So we are getting used to needing more grounding. So if anyone's feeling like out of sorts, uh it's the grounding. I think it's being ungrounded more with the Pluto.
Absolutely. I almost feel like I was going to ask you going into this, being like, do we have a lot of air energy? It seems like now that you're kind of saying that with that transition, that's right. It's so much air for like a pretty dense planet. Even though it's small in its way out there, it holds the weight of like everything, right?
Yeah, it's so powerful.
Mm.
And yeah, I think definitely that and we're going to be adjusting for the next like for I think this year and next year could be adjustment for this new energy when we will
Yeah.
feel there's a lot more and time will accelerate more. I'm noticing that too. There's a lot happening, a
Yeah.
lot more. We also I have more energy for everything. So that's a good thing. But my mind's going like a lot faster. Also, we have Jupiter and Gemini. So these two bigger planets being in air, Jupiter in Gemini also adds like a lot of air. Sometimes you get like distracted and want to do all these things. And Jupiter gives opportunity. So we're like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this. So we are a little bit scattered at times, but there's also air. No, there's also fire energy. And also going with the fire, we have a we are in a Sagittarius season with Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. So that's all fire.
Mhm.
And we have a new moon in Sagittarius, which is, so let's talk about that a little bit. The energy of today. I think it's really beautiful and hopeful. And it's trining Mars in Leo, which is also fire. So there's being like that. I think the Sagittarius is about adventure and wanting to experience. Let's try this, let's experiment. There's optimism, and I feel the word freedom just coming back in. I think combined with Pluto Aquarius is like the epitome of like freedom for the people, for humanity. And then like Sagittarius archetype itself carries truth and freedom and truth seeking, and I think those together go together, freedom and truth, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is there's like, so this is also a beautiful time to set intentions
Mhm.
for what freedom looks for us, like happiness, joy, choices, wealth, and abundance. All of those things are like, it feels like it's like manifestation is really accelerating, if that makes sense. Like I've noticed that in my own life. I think we need to dream bigger.
Mhm.
uh Maybe you already dream some of us need to dream bigger, some of us already dream really big and then stay in there. But some of us need to dream bigger. What do you think about what I just shared?
You
This
know,
is the way, everyone, this is our energy for today.
yeah,
Like some days we'll
someday.
come in fully, and some days we'll be just flowing and just, you know, sharing whatever comes through.
We're a great example of like just coming on here exactly how we are.
Yeah.
in the day that we are recording this, like I'm not trying to be like I'm anyone who's listening to this, I'm coming off a week of being sick and I was like, no, we're still doing this. Like, let's do it. It's Sunday. I'm coming out of a week of being sick, so I feel good, but when you're not your full self.
Yeah.
But even in that, I think this is a great time to pause and go, not just rest, not just give myself that, but it's like to not be in your regular energy. I think there's lesson in that. There's
Yeah.
medicine there for you. What I wanted to say off that was like I was listening to this podcast the other day and they were just like kind of going through all of the different realities that are alive right now, like that the collective conscious is squeezing into. Like
Hmm.
different kind of like boxes, different like belief systems, different patterns that people are following. Like even in the West, a lot of people are feeling like a bunch of people right now are feeling like it's a celebratory time and they freedom and truth has won and there's a whole future. Some people on the other end of that spectrum are feeling like doom and gloom that the end of the world is here.
Hmm.
And then there's like all these other assets, like aspects of that spectrum. And I'm like, I'm just in a space in my life where I'm stepping back. I'm not in any of those. I'm just observing. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not extending any energy because I'm not like taking on a belief system. I'm not adopting someone's belief system as mine. I'm not trumpeting someone else's vision or story. I'm like, I don't have any time or energy for any of that. And I'm in the observer seat. So I don't feel like my ego's flared up. I'm not triggered by other people's, what they're experiencing, what they're going through. I'm just looking at it being like, yeah, that's the world they've created for themselves, or that's their choice of belief right now, and they can have it. And I'm just like watching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. I think you are a beautiful example of staying in your own lane, meaning the more authentic you are, whatever you don't have to be in any spectrum. But this is Sagittarius, is beautiful description of what you just said about Sagittarius energy and Mercury being retrograde as well. On top of that, re-examining what our belief systems, where they have like programming, letting go and freeing yourself from a lot of belief systems that have really it just like imprisoned us, like when you said those boxes, this box, like two opposing kind of teams, like all of this is distraction. And Sagittarius asks us, zoom out, like what's the bigger, Sagittarius actually is bigger perspective. So what you're doing is with this energy exactly is working with it, like going back and zooming out, having a bigger perspective, okay, where, and then be authentic to your own truth. All of those things, like what you said, is like a beautiful, like a manifestation of what Sagittarius energy really means and how to work with it, you know?
And I think that is the future. At least I'm sensing and picking up on that for 2025 is that like our authenticity will be the
Yeah.
biggest currency
I
that
100%. And one thing that I'm noticing, and also read this somewhere on the veil between the fakeness, and we are more capable of detecting bullshit more than ever now. So, what that means is people that aren't living in their truth and authenticity and still wear a lot of masks is going to get harder and harder for them to really survive in this world, because we, like, our truth parameter or bullshit detector is really on, because the veil is thinning. That's also the one thing that our kind of nervous systems and our bodies are adjusting, because it's like we are sensing everything a lot, we are a lot more sensitive. That's why we also like we like our bodies can go a little bit into retraction and sickness mode, because we're adjusting to the new blueprint. So I think it's really exciting. I think it's beautiful, because I have always been all about that authenticity, being able to be sensitive and truthful and doing what you're like. Yeah, so I think the challenge for humanity now is to let go of the programming and to look and to understand what's not theirs. Even though our ego can be like, oh my God, that's what I've been identifying with all my life. Like, that's who I am. But are you really that? You know,
Mm.
this is the time where we sit with those beliefs and those programs that our family has, or whatever, how we grew up, and just see what's not true, because like your inner intuition is going to tell you, well, that's not working for me anymore. And that's what's happening. We are just going through like a lot of, this is not working, this is not what, like when you said I don't have energy, a lot of people will feel that I don't have no energy for, no, like whatever, something's out of alignment, don't have energy. And that's a great thing.
I was going to say the next thing you went into it already, which is perfect. I was going to say, for any of our listeners that may be in that right now, what is some advice that we could give them for when we're talking about like this, like we're talking about programming belief systems to like family situations, ways of the world that aren't working anymore? Well, what does that look like when it's happening to you, right? When you're up against that, what's some advice that we could give people who are maybe in that right now? And maybe they've done it before. How many on this call? Just so you know, you raise your hand to yourself and you're like, yup, I've been kind of doing this for a while, but I don't think it's like a one and done. I think it's
No.
constant peeling back the layers of like, wait, what do I believe? Like, what do I feel in this moment? And that's where I think that I would bring up the whole like learning to really trust yourself. We are betraying ourselves when we skip over that instinct, that nagging
Yes.
feeling in our
Hmm.
gut. That's like, you don't want to be at that family member's house. Like little things like that.
Yes.
Little things like that that we skip over because family tradition. We're heading into the holidays. This is a real conversation for a
Oh,
lot of,
this is a real for me as well. Yeah.
yeah, like it's like we're up against tradition, family values, family memories, right? And something inside of you is like, mm-mm. And sometimes it will be little. Do you agree? Like it doesn't always need to be a flashing light in your face. Sometimes it's a little gut feeling.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's little and then it just keep like there it and becomes like a persisting kind of thing. If you go against it and resist yourself and like kind of betray yourself over and over, it's gonna become that flashing light. If you follow that little like, okay, how can I navigate this with explaining everything? That's what I've been doing. Like there's like situations where I don't want to be, like I love people still in my life, but it's just okay, this is not the time. So kind of learning to navigate as well without it being a big deal. But my advice to be like, so it's not an easy thing to be, especially when it comes like to family and all of that. But I think choosing yourself and listening and maybe having a compromise, but also always putting yourself first and seeing then how it feels. Because the more we follow that gut feeling, whether goes against the common senses of like your group of friends or your family, um I don't, my advice, like it's really simple, easier said than done. Choose yourself. Choose, like, if you're able to participate in something and then to take yourself out of it the moment it feels like, okay, this feels like, okay. So it can be a manageable situations in some cases. Some cases are harder, but I can't talk to everyone's situation. I would say listen to your gut really carefully. Take care of yourself. Do not drain or share your energy or let like kind of be in situations that make you leave you exhausted for the sake of tradition. I would say like that's not choosing yourself,
I think
you know.
yeah, another sign of that is when you almost completely lose yourself, where you lose your footing. And or
Yeah.
you're like maybe you're comfortable around people you love, but then you shut down. Your whole system shut down around certain people. Pay attention to that.
Yes.
And sometimes it's okay to not maybe open yourself up or expose yourself in those situations. Or some people are the other way. Maybe they're like reserved and then they get around some people and they're and they're like, whoa, what's come over me?
Yeah.
It's like also we're navigating how to relate with each other and different energies can do that to you. But you know, when sometimes you're like, whoa, what did I do there? Like, oh, I lost myself in that moment. Who did I just
I
become? You
yeah.
know? these are all little signals and signs for us to become aware when we're relating to each other on this planet.
Yeah, and I think the kind of the yeah, a lot of us come in with with families, and some of us are, really close and open, and there is a similar frequency. Some of us throughout life kind of grow different ways, or some of us come completely different ways where you just like, I don't really resonate with that, and then you go with the chosen family or your soul tribe, and you can be on a different kind of stages on this journey when you're starting to realize, okay, I love my family, but I don't resonate. I can't be myself. And then you start to feel like, okay, there's a little bit of a shock, or there's also pain. Like sometimes when you have to let go of the dream, like, or your family is not really that soul family that you really long for. And we all long for that. Like, no, every human on this planet wants to be loved and held by either birth or either chosen family, which can be friends or a partner or whatever. And letting go of that dream of the birth family being very different from you, there's a lot of forgiveness and grief and acceptance and loss, and being able to sit with those is also an important part. And I think that comes up through holidays.
Mhm.
So be proactive if you are in that space, to connect with people, to talk to someone that's in a similar situation. I don't like anything. Connection. Seek out connection. Don't isolate yourself, I would say, through times that are more kind of confusing or difficult. Or listen to people that feel like family. Even sometimes when I've gone through my more lonely phases where I've needed those phases, I've listened to several kind of teachers that I've learned from, or just something that really resonates. Oh my God, this feels great. I don't feel alone. Like, because they carry that frequency of love and frequency that I share, um, that has helped me a lot.
I'm so glad you're bringing this up because the amount in my work, the amount of women who have come to me and said they feel called to put on a workshop for loneliness in the holidays, or they feel called to gather people dealing with strong emotions during the holidays. This is a huge moment, an invitation for anyone listening to this. Please make these things.
Yeah.
Year after year, I've been doing this for like a decade. Year after year, I have women tell me
And
that they
goosebumps everywhere. This is so alive in.
and then so a lot of women don't end up doing it, or things get busy, or they don't know how to host it, or they don't know where to host it. And that's come find me if you have those blocks. But this is the perfect example of soul purpose actually being an interconnected web of those of us on the planet. And when I hear
Mhm.
this year after year, how many people need this support, need community during these times, or guidance, like you just said, like someone to just listen to who
Yeah.
gets you. We are so needed. And this is where I'm talking like it's not a job. This isn't about a job. This is about your soul having a part to play
Yeah.
in
Exactly that.
community,
Yeah.
in the community aspect of living on planet Earth right now. Purpose is deep. The shit is
Yeah.
deep. So I'm
And this
glad you
is,
said that.
sorry, yeah. Yeah, I think it's beautiful. I think the way it's been showing up for the last few weeks, maybe more, it's been just holding deep listening sessions, just one on one. But maybe I will see what comes through, because I kind of like I've shifted into a different state. Well, I don't mind being. I really enjoy. Like last year, I was by myself, except like I had a quality time with my son, but that's all. I was on my own. So I enjoyed it so much, because I also dealt with a lot of things, but maybe I will create something like that. Or maybe just like also the connection part, where so it's just like it's an idea that has been coming through, but this kind of really resonates deeply, where it can be collection, but collective kind of spaces, but it can be also someone that wants to be really held and listened to, like those kind of that's something that's coming through for me as well. So I might do that over December, January.
Please,
Okay.
please do.
I will. I think I will. Now, especially that we spoke about it, we'll do.
This just reminded me, last year I was really feeling disconnected from Christmas, from the holidays, from traditions, from
Yeah.
all. And I was definitely part of, if not one of the like helpers or guides, I felt like, of that massive heart awakening that happened on the planet last fall. Like a huge heart awakening rippled through the planet. And I think it was the largest heart activation we've ever seen in human history, is what
Mm.
I was calling it. And I felt I didn't want to do any of it. No Christmas, no Thanksgiving, none of this. I mean, like, we don't need to go into the history of those holidays, and I don't back any of it up. But and I was like, I noticed other people were feeling it. Not everyone. Like, we didn't even put a tree up last year. And people were like aghast. Like, you're just like, oh, what do you mean? What do you mean? You have kids? You didn't put a tree up? Like, are you kidding? And I was just like, just kind of standing there like, wow, like, look at the reaction to us, like, not playing along. And
Oh, that's
I was like,
interesting. Yeah.
right. And then so
Mm.
I was listening to, I don't know, maybe it was a video or a podcast. I don't know. I was listening to another energy reader, and she was saying that essentially what's happening, because a lot of people felt that, enough people felt that they didn't want to partake in the holidays, that it became a conversation. You know what I'm saying? And then
Yeah.
it became such a conversation that energy readers and people like us were picking up on it.
Yeah.
So the way she explained it was so helpful to me. It was very, very visual. She said, when we're going through like creating a new world, what we're experiencing is the unpinning of the old one.
Mhm.
And she said, Christmas is a pin, and it's just been pulled out by a bunch of people. It's not in the fabric of their making anymore. They've
Yeah.
unpinned that, and they've unpinned some of these holidays. And I was like, like, I just felt it. I saw it. I was like, oh my God. Like, yes, I've unpinned that. It doesn't mean what it used to mean to me. And that's
There you
not
go.
against anyone else. Like, Christmas is beautiful lights in the winter.
Hmm.
It's hope. It's beautiful. Like, I'm a Christmas baby. My birthday's Christmas Eve. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying all these traditions that we're just doing to do, to play, to be, right?
The
We
obligation part.
obligations, right? The ones that you're like, like, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to show up for this? Why do we have to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people just went boink and pulled the pin out of that fabric, loosening it up for a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And,
That's so well said. Yeah.
so isn't that like a beautiful
Yeah.
symbolism of it? So if you're one of those people feeling that, but it can be isolating to be like, no, we're
Yeah.
not going to partake in this right now. You're going to get a bunch of head snaps. What do you mean? You're not. I mean, we're not even doing Santa. I'm whispering. I don't know who's listening right now. But we're not playing the
Yeah.
Santa game. I'm not doing Elf on the Shelf. Um, like, I'll give you an example. My husband today was sitting to them, and because this is what we grew up with, this is a perfect example. We got a mini tree. We have a new puppy. So between two toddlers and a puppy, we're not getting a big massive tree and all these expensive
Yeah.
decorations for these insane people to just rip it all down, okay? Well, we got a little table topper, and they loved it, and it was cute, and we put some ornaments up, and then this morning we plugged out all the lights back in, and Jayme was sitting down, he's talking to them, and he said to them, Santa's gonna Santa's gonna watch and he said something like this, like, and he's gonna count how many good things you do for people, and like how many, and I looked right at him and I said, no, we're not. We are not doing the Santa manipulation game. As in, there's an old guy in the North Pole who's stacking up when you're a good boy and when you're not. Fuck that shit. I was like, that stops now. And he was like, okay, nope. He just, right? He was like, I'm like, where is this coming from? This is coming from our childhood. This is the naughty and nice list. This is some fucking guys up in the north watching you. Like, what? It's the same thing with God. This judgmental male figure is watching you from the heavens. Are you being good? Are you being bad? I'm like, this shit's crazy.
I love the way you explained it because I'd never really thought about. I do like when you mentioned. I love the Christmas in a sense, like the lights and there's a part of it that's joyful, but there's definitely part of that's like the old tradition that's stifling and consumerism. There's different elements to that. But I love the way you explained it. I think I definitely agree of that of the archetypes. The archetypes are not healthy at all. So and
Right.
we shouldn't impose that to our children, even though it kind of feels like okay, stand up. But I've seen some of the stories like how like unraveling a little bit of that, and it's just like, oh, that doesn't feel good at all. So yeah, I agree with you.
And I think it's okay to question it. You know, what I'm saying right
Yeah.
now. That was a conversation in our marriage. That might sound a little bit more me being like, we're not doing that. And that's what happened, LOL. But he was like on, he was like, oh yeah, like why are we doing that? Right. And I think it just goes back to like all of that to me is what's not working. That's a very good, small, quick example of what's
Yeah.
not like manipulating our children with this weird spy cam thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this guy in the sky is watching you. And if you're not, like, we can actually teach our children rules, discernment,
And
boundaries,
responsibility and all of those.
responsibility,
Yeah.
discipline, care, compassion. We can teach those things without like threatening them, that like big brother
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I never actually thought about it like that, but there's a little bit of that, like the bad. Have you been a bad? It's just like it feels,
Are you on the
ugh,
naughty
it just feels
list?
yucky.
And
Yeah.
I definitely have been, like I'm pretty vocal about this. I make live videos about this because people are like, what do you mean you're not doing Santa? Actually, I think a lot of people are curious about like, how are you going to navigate this? How are you going to pull this off? And I think, sometimes people, I think, want to challenge that with like, well, you're going to ruin it for everyone, right? You're going to ruin this for my
For
kid. You're
everyone.
for everyone.
Who is everyone?
Thing is, my thing back to them is always like, it's already been ruined. It got ruined when people were putting PlayStation 60, $400 PlayStations on their list to Santa, and people actually followed through on that with their children. It got ruined,
Yeah.
right? When it turned into $500 iPads. How did we go from this was actually a beautiful thing to now it's some weird consumer competition who's got the best toys and it's not equal and fair. So Santa drops off $200 sneakers at that house, but
Yeah,
we
and then nothing at other houses. There's nothing.
like that's when it got ruined. Right? When it turned into competition, when it turned consumerism. So that's why I feel like I'm very like my Capricorn and Scorpionic energy comes through and is like, actually, can we observe this and go, I think it's been ruined for a while, guys.
Yeah. I
You
think it's a good to have these conversations. I don't think it's like if some people need to take some time and there's like if some people still enjoy that part of it with the children, like it's okay. There's like I don't, but I think it's important to have conversations where we move to a healthy, beautiful, kind of embodied way to celebrate life, whatever it is, Christmas or, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And
Okay.
I think that's how it used to be too. It was like
Yeah.
times were about going into the darkness together
Yeah.
and how we were the light, the fire, the ancient circle,
Mm-hmm.
togetherness. We will get through
Togetherness.
this. And
Yeah.
that's, I think, what we've actually lost. And going
Yeah.
back to the circles around to what we were just talking about, so many people feel so lonely during
Yeah.
holidays because we've actually replaced this idea of togetherness with stuff.
With stuff. Yeah. That's well said. Just like the simplest way how it's so unbalanced and unhealthy is that we've placed like a human heart and love and compassion with things. And it just feels like like if someone can look out in the world and it's just like is this like it feels like a complete dystopia. So like even though it's covered in lights like and shimmers, like so
Right.
yeah.
Well, I didn't see us going here. Sorry, I brought the
Me neither.
Christmas,
Like, don't be, no,
the
let's not ever
crashing.
apologize on, let's not ever apologize on our own podcast. That's the first.
Okay, wait. This is another angle back to our original topic, LOL, if we can remember. But okay, let's say we've got these listeners, they're listening and they're like, "Oh man, I'm feeling this. Like, oh, this is the conversation I want to be having about Christmas, right?" Now what do we do? Right? And it's like, "Okay, well that sounds great. You guys are my people. I can say this in front of you guys, but now what do we do?" When we are approaching our family around this, when we are approaching friend talk, when we are approaching this. And I've been using this as a boundary myself all year. I've said it on this podcast already, but it's going to make more sense now. What I've been giving myself as a boundary is that I let people know energetically. I don't even need to say it verbally. Energetically, I say, I refuse to be part of your delusion or illusion or
Mhm,
belief. If you have a belief system, it is yours. I cannot
mhm.
control it. I cannot change it, but I don't have to be part of it.
Yeah.
I do not have to be part of the world you've created in your head. And furthermore, one of the most freeing things I ever did as a human on planet Earth is I said, I am not responsible for the version of me you've got in your head.
Yeah, that's really greatly said. Yeah, I am with you on all of this. Like I've been in that space for a while, but I've been also acting on it more the last few years.
Right?
Because I noticed the way my body and my mental health would change a lot
Mhm.
when I would just step over those and was like tradition is more important. Then I was like, no, it's not like this. Me, I do it. My health and my authenticity. Even though like love can be still there, it's just the boxes that like why like the love and compassion and togetherness can exist like doesn't have to be packaged around Christmas. And then like there's a lot of pretense, a lot of in a lot of cases around family there's a lot of pretense. So why are we, not going go deeper because we already kind of had all of that. But yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
No, this is
I'm
good.
just I'm with you.
I feel like this call is literally like we'll have to name this some sort of like a holiday prep because we didn't really, guys, I swear to God, we did not talk about any of these topics before we started recording this. And look what wants to come through.
We never talk about any, we never, I prepare all the transits and I prepare the energies, but we never discuss what we're going to talk. And I think it's the magic of what needs to come through. Whoever will listen to this, like that's the information that you need to hear. And a lot of people want to hear this. Even I wanted to hear this, and if it's coming from us, I
We're
think it's,
like, how many years ago would what we've said already on this call have been so helpful to either of us and what we're going through with,
yeah,
just like who we are evolving on the planet? When we're here as bridges between heaven and earth trying to make a new world, we are up against, right, the releasing, the dying of, the crumble, whatever you want to say of the old world. And it doesn't need to be, it's not an overnight thing, everyone. You know what I mean? And it's everyone doing their individual part.
yeah,
Oh, the releasing and the death doula of the old and a birth doula of the new. We're all responsible on that realm for
yeah.
our own lives. But I think it's freeing to know that you don't have to be responsible for
I
someone
think
else.
it exactly. Sorry. Yeah.
No,
I
go ahead.
think it's there's a mix of courage and just freedom and just like that leadership quality as well. Okay, because it's gonna be few people and there's gonna be more, but because stepping kind of against the majority, you were like that's why I get like, oh my God, how are you gonna ruin this for everything? But like we has like authenticity has to start somewhere, and it does take courage. Just so people think like you have to understand like when you it does take courage and bravery to be authentic and to really be unapologetically yourself and to do what your soul and gut and intuition tells you to do. And this is the season like when Mercury is retrograding into our belief systems, into programming. It's really about releasing and understanding. And sometimes our ego is going to look at this saying, okay, I'm still scared to go against that, even though I know it's true. So this is the time where you seek out other people, like, because it can be a lonely journey when everyone around you is that in that different frequency and is like, yay, holidays and buying gifts and kind of subscribing. So this is not really authentic. They're not authentic. There's not nothing authentic about subscribing to consumer culture. But they're not, some people are not ready, like, and that's their path, and that's also, but it takes, I don't know, it's just the element of courage. There is that. There's like a little bit of, can be like, you, it can feel isolating, like you said in the beginning. This is definitely a holiday prep. But I think a lot of us needs
So
it
good.
because of that intensity of the shifts that we are experiencing. A lot of people will feel this doesn't feel, it will feel inauthentic.
Yeah.
Even though we want, like, so what we actually want from this holiday season and actually through all our lives is connection, is feeling loved by our circle, is feeling like the unity of the world. I don't even know how to express it. There's a bigger vision also with this Sagittarius energy. Just there's a bigger perspective. What are we doing as humanity? Not only like, like
Yeah.
focusing on what I'm going to buy for
Yeah.
my family. This is like, how can we come together as a humanity? And this is a big question, and sometimes it can feel overwhelming. I don't know what to do. We just start with yourself. I don't know where I was going with this at all.
Oh, this is so good. Can I give a more detailed example of what you're saying?
Yes,
It
please.
feels very alive in me. In America, we just had like Black Friday. Yes, Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, whatever today is, Cyber Mondays tomorrow. Big, it's the biggest shopping weekend. And I'm an American. I've got Amazon app. Hello. I'm like, I buy things off Amazon too, but I'm small businesses and I support many small businesses, local ones, all of it. But I was like, let me just see. Let me see some of these like Black Friday deals on here. And I like clicked on one thing in the app and it's just like crap after crap after. I'm like, maybe do I want that? Oh, what I mean? It was just like I was just like doing the scroll, and it was just stuff.
Stuff,
Like
yeah.
it's like every warehouse that ever existed for Amazon just went on sale. And they're just trying to sell crap. And it was just like crap. And you know what? I think maybe I put two things in the cart and then I just like woke up out of it and I was like, I don't feel good right now. Sitting
Yeah.
there scrolling, looking at endless items, putting two in my cart, feeling like I gotta buy it. I don't feel good. So I emptied my cart, I exited the app. Done. I bought nothing. I bought nothing for Black Friday. Yesterday, I was invited to my photographer, and she's a local artist. She every year puts on a moonstone market, and it's all female local artisans, artists, and small businesses. All women, all small business.
Hmm.
I got dressed up. I was laughing. I cried with a woman. I was buying. I got myself a little mini sapphire necklace from this woman who hand makes these things with 14 karat gold. Great prices. I'll tag her if you want. Like, I was buying from this older woman as a grandma. They let these young girls and these 10-year-olds who made bracelets, and I got my daughter bracelets from these little mini entrepreneurs. I was like, I feel amazing. I was
Yeah.
business connections. I was drinking delicious mulled cider. Like, and just the comparison
Yeah. I
of
love this.
that like traditional go buy, get a great deal stuff versus these are the women in your community. This is
Yeah.
going to her family. This is going to her home. This is going to her craft. Here
I think
she
it's amazing. Yeah.
and I'm still a day later beaming from this. Shout out to Jacqueline and Social Luniac in Rhode Island for hosting this, you know, but it was just like, I think that's a good example of like, do we need to get rid of the holiday stuff in shopping? No, it's like, no, I'm not
No.
need to get rid of it. But look how we can be a part of bringing it.
Community. Yeah. And togetherness. This is about like connection and building each other up. And not, this is a different hype. I definitely would, I want to create I definitely want to celebrate the solstice or whatever cycles we're going through, but not I think I needed to detox from the previous kind of like, just buy stuff. even though I always like to create my own things and just person like, so I understand what you mean. Like it can be like, yeah, just have a personal touch on whatever you do and listen to your intuition. But I love that what you shared. That's amazing.
Yeah. Ooh, we have went around the Christmas tree here. Sorry, we're
We
saying
didn't
a lot.
even let's Hmm?
I know that there are our listeners also have other beliefs and other systems and other dynamics. And I hope we have given everyone an invitation to actually just sit with all of these aspects and what comes up in you and to become, I would say, more truthful to yourself and how this makes you feel, right? And you and I, like, I'm not trying to tell anyone what to do or how to do, but I definitely know that my spirit is here to give people the opportunity to question it.
Yeah, 100%. I think this is not about saying something, oh, you have to think like me or you. Um, I think this is just an opening your mind. This is all like December energy is about opening space and sitting with something with the energies and sorting what do you want to keep, what do you want to let go, more freedom, more peace, more joy, and what form does it take? What does it mean? What connection means? What type of people you want to see around you? And if you're listening close to around the beginning of the month, set those intentions. How do you want your even holiday to look? How do you want your next beginning of the next year to look? How do you want the things that are not resonating anymore? Shifting those beliefs into how do we want our reality to look? Okay, this is not resonating anymore. What do I want to substitute that? Using also your mind, like this is a really beautiful time for shifting those beliefs, for understanding how the belief systems like how our mind works in every day. I know this is more kind of like a work mindfulness work, but I really invite people to do that during the Mercury retrograde, about around the belief systems, around what's working, what's not.
Can you go deeper with that? What do you mean, go deeper with that?
To go deeper, just sitting with what we like, anything what we talked about now, just going and sitting with what doesn't resonate and what do I want to substitute with. Like if my family doesn't resonate, or the gift buying, how do I want that to look? Just creating that new reality, basically creating new reality, thinking the way you're thinking, basically thinking about, like, observing the way we think about things. It doesn't have to be a drastic, like I'm going from disbelief, oh now I don't believe in Christmas at all. No, just sitting with the process of, okay, where do this belief came from? How can, like, does it work for me? Okay, it doesn't. Okay, what do I want to substitute with? Do you want to
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, does that make sense? It's like I know I'm talking like I'm all going more abstract usually, and then you usually give real life
No,
examples.
this is good. I love
I'm
us.
relying
I
on
love
you
us.
to do
Okay.
it.
Because what's coming up as you're saying this is actually like a great coaching practice that I learned over the years as being a coach. Because what you're talking about is that ability to then self-identify in the situation.
Hmm.
Like, where are my beliefs? What am I thinking? Wait, what's my role in this? So if we're talking like let's say with a family member, it's like this is like where codependency comes in. A lot of people will be like, "Oh, they're codependent."
Yeah.
But it takes two to tango in a codependency. Like there's the enabler and then there's the dependent person. And we need to identify our roles in those situations,
Yeah.
right? To go like, oh, wait, I'm the person enabling this. And when you can identify as the enabler, you go, oh, I'm actually holding this person back from growth, from stepping into their ability to self govern, right? To make their own independent choices because something in me receives something from being in that relationship.
Yeah.
Oh man, when you can get
Yes.
there, you're like, shit, where am I doing this? And I think that's like like what you were saying, abstract, right? Is like kind of like going inside and being like, oh my God, where am I playing out this? Where am
Yeah.
out in my relationships. Maybe you're the one who's more dependent on others. Maybe you're the one that has expectations for Thanksgiving dinner, you
Yeah.
know, Christmas dinner. Maybe you're the one that is continually showing up in this role that you don't like because you want that person to be happy. If that's you,
Mhm.
that's an enabler, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not giving that person the ability to maybe find love within themselves in a healthy way. So we're all playing out these roles with each other. Oh, I love this stuff. That's why I'm a coach, because it's all human behavior. It's very interesting.
It is, it's fascinating. I think we can definitely will go back and through these kind of type of situations where, you know, the roles and psychology and human behavior and how we are becoming more aware of the roles and which ones are not healthy, which ones are it going back. Now we're wrapping up like authenticity, truth, integrity, courage to be yourself. It all goes back to stepping and having that perspective over the roles that we play, because we will play roles, like because we can be a mother and a teacher and a coach, but then which roles are unfulfilling and draining and come from a space of maybe an unhealthy pattern in yourself that needs to be healed, and you will have it manifest as a strong intuition or a strong resistance to do something. So I invite everyone to just listen to yourself, love yourselves, have a lot of compassion for yourself and for other people through this season, and lots of love to everyone. I just
Oh, I love
did you
you.
want to add something? I don't know why I
Oh, this is I like guys, this is so spirit led. I think our higher selves or something comes in, our higher versions of us on some level come in or like and just take this over. No, because we're at exactly, I think we want to do like 40 minutes today or something. We might be a little, I think
We are
we're
an hour, but I know that what's going to happen, we're going to go on for 2 hours. I think we kind of shared
yeah,
like the essence. This was like, I am aware that this was less astrology, even though we definitely, it's always, the energetic side of astrology is always there, present when we talk. We maybe didn't mention the actual transits, but we'll go back to that in January and share more about like the astrological part. And also comment on like whether maybe comment just, yeah, just the feedback. I would like to hear feedback from people. Do they want to hear the actual, like when I say like this sun enters Capricorn, Jupiter squaring Saturn, then we explain, because we do that sometimes, but I think this was a perfect episode, like energetically we covered, I think, and it was needed for what we shared.
I think in the same way we were saying like we need people to show up and lead during these times
Yeah.
because these are actually emotionally and energetically tense times when we cover holidays. This is us doing that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And there's an energy, like when I start to say like energy is also December. See, this is why I wrapped up so quickly. Suddenly, um there is an December is energy for is time for making space and observing and being in that mode of like recognizing things, but also celebrating. Just celebrate life, be with your people that you love, whether it's one person or many people.
I would just leave it as like the last thing I would say is, what do you want this time of the year to be
Yeah,
for you and your family? Going back to what you're saying, the dream big. There's
yeah.
so much potential right now for the dream, for hope. And it's almost like we limit ourselves to that dream, to seeing and feeling and desiring things. Where are you holding yourself back from that?
I think that is the most really truthful and beautiful way to end. Like, where can you dream bigger? Yeah, all of you listening, where can you dream bigger? Go do that.
Why don't we'll let that segue into the New Year call.
Yeah, exactly.
That's going to be really good. I'm excited for the New Year call as well. This was like a very
Yeah,
good episode to be recorded for people. And I think we can always refer people back to this episode, you know?
yeah, I
Um,
think so.
so this is some deep stuff, guys, what everyone's going through. So happy December 1st. LOL.
Happy new one in Sagittarius. Like it's time for set intentions if you're listening over the next few days, but the rest of the themes apply for this year and many years to come. Like everything that like we go in deeper themes. So you can go back to different episodes, not only, it doesn't we talk about things that are quite timeless as we go through this
Yes.
transition. This is going to be a decades long transition that we're going, and it's exciting.
Oh, well, I love these calls. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I love whatever magic channel opens up when you and I get going. And I hope someone, all of you out there listeners, find someone who you can do this with, where your channels just open up and it is such a good time. You and I just giggle and we just laugh. We talk about coming to each other's couches, and just like talking and eating and having a good time together. We will. We're making it happen. Also,
Yeah.
let us know if you want to go to Portugal. We're thinking about planning a little trip.
Yes, everyone, we are speaking so we're going to speak about this on the next call, but we are planning like a retreat style thing, kind of like a gathering in Portugal. That sounds really exciting. So next year, probably, and we don't know.
We
This is
don't
just
know. Yeah.
whoever wants to be on the wait list, please sign up for in the comments.
Yes. Oh my God. How much fun is that gonna be?
Sign up in the
Casual fun
comments.
hangout, astrology and astro talks over coffee in the morning, walking around gorgeous Portugal, eating
Yeah.
delicious food, looking at amazing people.
It's gorgeous here. That's why I came and stayed. So I would like more to share more with others.
All right. My kids are screaming. I hope anyone can't hear that. All
No,
right. Thank you to our listeners. We love you so much.
love
I'm
you.
going to get my chart read now. Yeah. If you aren't getting your chart read, oh my God, my cousin has a session with you tomorrow. Rosie.
She does. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I'm excited.
So excited for her. So,
Yeah.
guys, get your chart read. Come find me if you need help with getting your creations out into the world. We love you so much, and we'll talk to you next call. Bye.